Welcome to Engage.
Welcome.
This is a podcast about choosing presence over distraction and responsibility over autopilot. In a world that constantly pulls at our attention, we explore what it actually means to engage with our work, our leadership, our faith, our relationships, our lives. This isn't about hustle, perfection, we talk a lot about that, or having it all figured out. It's about clarity, discipline, and learning to show up on purpose, especially when it would be easier not to. Each week, we'll talk honestly about the things that move the needle and the things that get in the way so you can reduce interference, live with intention, and build a life that truly works. This is Engage.
Engage. Welcome to Engage. Is that a G right there?
I think that's our G. Yeah.
Maybe next week we'll get more organized and put a logo up there.
Could be.
Yeah.
It's on your cup.
It is on my cup. You're right.
Yeah. Engage.
Engage. So, how you doing today?
It's been a week, but I'm here. I'm good. I'm present. I'm optimistic. There's a lot of good ahead.
There is.
Yeah. A lot of things happening ahead of us.
What is happening this weekend ahead of you?
Prior to next week, this weekend?
Yeah.
Well, we have some soccer games for the kiddos, as usual, par for the course. Both of them have one. And we are taking our sweet girl to the mission in San Rafael.
Okay. I thought that was last weekend.
No, that's this weekend. We're doing it on Sunday. Okay. She's in fourth grade. So for those that have kids who've gone through fourth grade or those who went through fourth grade, did you go through fourth grade, Ricky?
I skipped it. I skipped it.
Fourth grade is mission year where you recreate a mission. So we're actually going to go show it to her in person so she knows what she's creating.
Okay.
What about you this weekend? What's in front of you?
Well, tomorrow's my birthday.
I do know that.
And here's an interesting thing. So Kellen plays a lot of basketball.
Yes.
And he has a tournament this weekend.
Okay.
And I just found out moments ago that his game time is during the 49er game.
Well, that's an easy decision.
The 49er game.
No.
Yeah. So I'm going to figure out how I can do both. And
there's this simple tool called Record. We don't use it much anymore, but back in the DVR days.
Well, back in the VCR days.
You could record it and watch it later.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. So that's it. And then maybe a birthday dinner or lunch or something like that.
McCooney.
Tomorrow, you might see me there around lunchtime. So,
okay, great.
So we're a couple weeks in on January.
Yep.
And what kind of has stood out so far this year with real estate and our business and the industry?
Things have picked up in the real estate industry. More buyers getting out off the couch into homes for our sellers, which is a good thing because interest rates have gotten a little better.
Yeah, they have. And when interest rates get better, it opens up the door for more people interested in real estate.
It does.
Right. And so that's exciting for not only those in the real estate industry, but also those who are thinking about and have been thinking about buying for a long time.
Yeah. That said, the market is always available to those who have a need or a desire to buy or sell, because we have to remember that interest rates will always bob and weave. Right. Like if you look at history, and I know that we talk about this and laugh about this a lot, but our parents had to pay 17% interest or 12% interest
for a $40,000 house.
That's true.
Making $3 an hour.
No doubt. Yeah. So there's always perspective. But my point is there's always programs, right? Like even when interest rates are high, there's always incentives and programs that buyers and sellers can usually come to an agreement on to make it worthwhile for both parties. Yeah. But the fact that interest rates have gone down a bit is helpful for the masses, most certainly.
A lot of things happened during the beginning of the year. You kind of plan out, oh man, I forgot to tell you a story.
Oh.
So I was meeting with a business person earlier this week, and they were very excited for something that their company is doing next week.
Okay.
Which would be essentially the third full week of 2026, right?
Yes.
And so they are pumped for what's happening next week in their business.
Okay.
in the third week of 2026.
I'm pumped for what's happening in our business in the third week of
I am
2026
too,
as well.
but we can get to that in a second.
Okay.
But any guesses on what they are going to do on the third week of 2026 that she is pumped for?
I hate when you put me on the spot like that. I'm not good at guessing.
Well,
I don't read minds.
Well, they are doing their 2026 business planning next week, 3 weeks in.
Well, that's
to the year.
That is, what do they say? Better late than never.
I guess
That's better late than never. It's probably a little late.
Right. When did we, and when ideally would you start business planning for the following year?
So I actually just got asked to teach the business planning clinic yesterday in September of this year for the following year. Typically, it's October, but somewhere September, October, November, worst case scenario. And why do I say worst case scenario? Why is it harder to plan what happens in January, 60 days down the road versus 90 plus days down the road?
Well, in our business and a lot of businesses, whatever you do today, it might come to fruition in 60 to 90 days.
Yeah. So hypothetically, if you wait to create a business plan for the next year until November, you might not see those results until February, right? And the year doesn't start in February. So point being, September, October is actually pretty ideal because what we do translates 90 years down not 90 years, 90 days down the road.
So business planning clinic.
Yep.
In September.
Yep.
And people are already booking you for business planning clinic.
Yeah.
This month, January.
Yeah.
So if someone were to want to book you for business planning clinic, how do they reach out to Shelby Ryburn?
They could do so. You can probably respond here, or more ideally, email me or call me or text me.
Right. One of the best in the business too, doing the business planning clinic.
Thank you. It's my favorite class to teach.
Another thing that is happening this time of year that people are getting excited for are conferences.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Right around the corner.
Right around the corner.
Yeah.
And
when is ours, Ricky?
Ours is in February.
Yeah.
I think we leave on the 19th.
Yeah. 19th, 20th, something like that.
In Hotlanta.
In Hotlanta.
And I was talking to a bunch of people earlier this week and last, and they are pumped for going to their Las Vegas retreat, their conferences, their
convention,
Austin, Scottsdale, Portland, Miami, right? All
Florida.
their Florida convention,
Miami's in Florida.
Convention, New Orleans.
Yeah.
Right. And they're really excited to go to these conventions.
Okay.
And I started thinking about when we're at conventions, we see thousands of people and they have fantastic speakers and guests and panels, and they are providing a wealth of knowledge that can last you a lifetime and do a lot of business with.
Yeah.
Right?
If you're present.
If you're present. And then you take a note or two.
Or several pages.
And you come home, and then what happens?
You most likely get distracted by the routine of life that shows up inevitably. And the notes sit there in a book without any implementation. Mm-hmm. On the regular, I see that happen a lot.
Yeah. What else do you see happens when people go to conferences? I mean, I know a lot of people who go to conferences, not to conference.
Tell me more.
They might go to conference for the mixers or the parties or the socials because that's just where they should be because it's where the cool kids are, right? And or
networking.
Networking, okay. So all of that is good. And also, do you think that there is something to be said and there's a difference between the student and the seminar addict?
Is the student also an addict or just the seminar is an addict?
Or are you two different people? Two different people.
Okay. Well, I think it depends. And I'm not one to judge, but I think it depends on someone's intention and or objective of what they want to come away from the convention with. So while I might have a core objective or plan or strategy or intention, I think what should remain parallel amongst everyone is to make sure they have a plan and a goal and an objective for their attendance.
Sure.
Because some people I do know go to network primarily because relationships likely get us further than most things in life. I don't tend to go just to network. I personally go to learn something that can help us be more effective with our clients or more efficient or scale faster, in addition to networking.
I think that you're a specimen of someone who is a good example of conferences, and you do take a ton of notes.
I do.
And a lot of people take notes. And some people chase every event, every class, every training, every conference, and never actually apply anything at all.
Well, education without implementation is just entertainment.
Right. And they confuse attendance for advancement.
Yeah. And that can get really expensive. So if you have a pot of gold, that constantly overflows, I think it's fine to have that intention, but most people don't.
No, they
right?
don't. No, they don't.
Yeah.
So how do you master that? And how do you stay intentional with, because it's an investment.
No doubt.
Right. And these conferences run close to, if not over $1,000 for some of them, plus airfare and
I would
hotels
argue,
and food.
Yeah. $1,500, $2,500, somewhere between that.
For someone who is planning their growth plan this year and they want to go to conferences.
Yep.
Do you have any kind of tips as a conference expert to provide them maybe 1 or 2, 3 tips, right? Like what can they do to stay on track at the conference so that they feel that their time is not only valuable there, they're getting the most out of it, and they're coming back with some intention on applying something that they had learned that week?
Well, I'm not going to say I'm a convention expert. However, I have attended several per year since 2007. It's the first year I went to a convention, right? And I continue to go. And so what's interesting about that, if I can just segue here back for a moment, is I think that some people think they no longer have to go after going to a certain amount of them. And if I've been going since 2007, and it's 2026, that means 19 years I keep showing up. So point being, I think that one of my suggestions or tips or pointers is you have to go ready to receive.
Right.
Okay. So that would be one of my pointers. If you're going to make the investment to attend a convention, remember that the purpose usually is to build new relationships and to learn something new that you can come back and implement in your business. So in order to do that, the first step would certainly be being open to receive. You can't go there closed-minded. You have to go open to receive. My second tip would be very, very present. The longer I go, the more people I know, and the easier it would be for me to not actually attend the sessions in which I learn something that may better serve our clientele or our community or our team.
Right.
So my second tip personally would be to be very, very present in the sessions that you can actually learn something in. My third tip would be take copious notes. I can't tell you how fast I'm typing, and you've seen it.
Yep.
How fast I'm typing when there's another person on stage or another team on stage or, something being said. I'm typing as fast as I can. That is personally how I absorb. And then at the end, I review and highlight the things that I want to make sure that I address. Because the reality is every one of us will probably, if we're open-minded, which was pointer number 1, learn 35 new things. But can we reasonably implement 35 new things? Not usually. No. And so when I spent some time in corporate America, they taught me to outline 3 things that can be implemented in the next 90 days. So that would be the process I would go through. Take copious notes, highlight everything. I'm still going to have too much highlighted because I want to implement all of it, but then I'm going to choose 3 things to implement in the following 90 days. What about you?
Well, you talked about taking notes, and I want to talk about that for a second.
Okay.
Because everyone is different.
Yep.
There's a 20% of the rooms now that we're in have a remarkable.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then another 20 to 50 to maybe closer to 70% are taking notes on their iPad or their computer.
Yeah. I now bring my Mac. I had a Remarkable, but now I just use my computer.
What happened to your Remarkable, by the way?
I still have it. I just couldn't write fast enough. I can type faster.
Yeah. And so for me, it's a challenge for me to take notes on a device.
Okay.
And then go back and look at it again to help me remember what I learned so that I can implement it into my routines or my daily life. How do you go back and look at those notes again? Because for me, I take notes
on a notebook.
On an old notebook.
Yeah.
And then I star the really important stuff.
Yeah.
Or circle it. And then I take that notebook back and then I go to my computer and I make a deck for all of those slides or all those notes, and I type them into my computer so that I'm not only writing it down at the time I'm listening to it, I go back and I read it as I'm typing it in my computer again. And then I highlight the ones on the screen that really stand out so that I could use those over time. How do you just do it on your computer and then still remember everything?
Well, let's be clear. We're actually outlining the exact same process. And here's what I would encourage you to think about. And this is going to be way off path for a moment, but I'll bring it back. I have a problem with the education system.
Okay.
Do you have children?
2.
I know you do. So do I. Yeah. And let's say that we put Allie and Kellen and Bennick and Riley in a room. Do you think all 4 of them learn and absorb the same way?
No, not at all.
No, but the school system will teach them the exact same way. Okay. So let me bring it back. Mm-hmm. You write in a notebook and you star things and you circle things and then you come back and type them. I type from the beginning.
All right.
And then I go back and highlight. And then at the bottom of every single one of my documents, you could go revisit some of my past conference notes. I have a section that says to do. And so I type, then I review and highlight, which means I have to reread it all. And then I go back and read the highlights and put them under to-dos. And that's where I get my 3 things from, right? So my point is, we have the same process. Right. Each one of us revisits our notes multiple times, which means that we're probably more likely to implement than most because we have a process. We're not also just taking notes to close the book and close the chapter and not reopen it. It's just that you prefer to write than type, write, circle, star, type. I prefer to type, highlight, and outline to-dos.
Right.
Same process.
Okay.
We just might learn differently.
Yeah. It is interesting how we all learn differently. And I think I talked about that this morning in our huddle, because if you listen to us before, we have huddles every morning.
We do.
And this morning, so I'm reading this book, and it's in my office, and it's called "Don't Believe Everything You Think."
Yeah, love it.
And it's really wild.
Yeah.
In there, it says you can go through the same event as someone else, the same event, or your same event more than one time. And so you go through the same event, then you have the same thinking will equal the same event, same result, or the same experience.
Okay.
You go through the same event, different thinking, different results.
Sure.
It's almost like, oh, by the way, too, there's a difference between thoughts and thinking.
Yeah. When you explained that this morning, I thought it was magical. Explain it again.
So a thought is a noun and thinking is a verb.
Yeah.
So a thought is something that you think about. Like, I really want to be a professional basketball player, or better yet, closer to home. I really want to be a successful real estate agent.
Okay.
Okay. And then you go and you learn all the things you got to do about become a real estate agent. And by the way, when you have that thought that comes up in your head that you want to be a successful real estate agent, most people at that moment get super excited and like hyped up.
Okay.
Right? They're like hyped up.
Yep.
And they're just really feeling the energy around it. And then what happens is you start thinking about what it's going to take to become a successful real estate agent.
Okay.
And that starts kind of forming doubt and forming drunk monkeys, right? Or limited mindsets, or I can't do that. And no one will want me to do that. And so you think too much through that.
Yeah.
And it totally messes up then your thoughts. And so for this book, it kind of dives deep into that and how to kind of separate them.
Okay.
And it's wild.
Yeah. I mean, I think that that's something that is so elementary when you stop and hear it, but you probably have never thought of it before.
No. And so everyone kind of, you're right, everyone learns different. And your input doesn't match your output. It should not match your output. Okay. Meaning you could be exposed to something that's very chaotic, but you shouldn't respond in a chaotic manner.
Sure. In that definition of the phrase, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I, by the way, that's probably like one of my big time failures is oftentimes I might match the chaos or any kind of emotion to that.
You've grown significantly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Tell my kids that. Yeah.
Right. Although I would argue that input often equals output in the basic definition of that phrase. And all I mean by that is you can't expect results if you don't plug in.
Well, I guess I'm more talking about experiences, not results. And I think there's a difference.
Certainly.
Right. And the experience is more of how you feel, and the results is more of a measured metric.
Mm-hmm.
And the emotion of thinking really kind of, I think, becomes more external, because then it starts affecting your mood and your energy and those around you.
Okay, so how do you control it?
That's a great conversation to get in, right? You should stop thinking so much about your thoughts.
Yes. And you should tell on your thoughts.
Right. Yeah. Man, there is a really great, I wish I can remember this quote in the book, but I can't right now. And it was really powerful. I'll post it later, or maybe I'll put it in the verbiage here.
Okay.
But it was pretty wild.
Okay.
What are we reading? Are we reading anything? What are you reading right now?
I am currently, I actually just ordered a book. I actually think it's supposed to arrive at my house tomorrow. Question is, while we're thinking of it, what is it? But I will say that I just started reading back through a new devotional. So I'm doing that every morning, called Jesus Listens. And while not a book, it is being intentional about my quiet time and reading through something that can get me out of my own thoughts. So I'm reading that. And I just ordered a book called What If I'm Wrong?
Oh, what's it about?
Well, it is about taking risks despite your fears.
That's funny because the book I'm reading is very similar to that. It's funny how we talk about books. First of all, we go back and we talk about growth plans and conferences and learning, and then we talk about books, right? And then we talk about, okay, what do we do with all that information that we're gathering?
Yeah.
90% of them, nothing.
Yeah. That's kind of my beef sometimes with reading too many books. And all I mean by that is this particular book that I ordered is for my psyche, meaning it's because I think it will grow me personally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And that's important. But I think that you can read just for the sake of saying you read something, or you can ingest.
Yeah.
And I think all intentional reading does make you smarter. In fact, there are studies that would suggest that the more you read, the better vernacular you have, right? Stronger conversation skills, better presence, more confidence. So no doubt reading in and of itself is really critical. But I would ask, does what you're reading align with who you're working to become or something that you're trying to strengthen that particular year, right? Like most of us, we talked about the word of the year last week. Most of us have intentions to improve something. Mm-hmm. And we talked about National Quitting Day or Quitter's Day, which, it's funny. We said that was last Friday. Some would argue that it's this Friday, which would be tomorrow, your birthday.
I think it was, yeah.
Regardless, whether it was last Friday or this Friday, both are horrendously sad if someone is really willing to throw in the towel 2 to 3 weeks into the year. But it's a thing. And that's because we tend to base momentum on emotions, right? And if we're not feeling something positively, or if we feel like we've been hurt or scarred or rejected, we're not likely to continue to do it. So my point is, I think, every man shows up at a different river. And so when you turn the year and come into a new year and go, okay, these are the things that I need to improve on, or the ways I need to grow, I think, and combine that with maybe what your business needs to do differently. That's very relevant for us. Like, we intend on doing things differently inside of our businesses here. So what books do I need to read that align with the ways that I need to improve or grow? And what books do we need to read as business owners to develop our business the way that it needs to be developed, versus just saying, I'm just going to read a bunch of books. I really feel passionate about them being in alignment with your causes.
I think you're absolutely right. And during your business planning clinic in September, October, November.
Sure.
Do you all talk about like creating growth plans with that? Because I don't think that in business planning, we oftentimes add in how we're going to improve our skills in business planning.
I mean, I would argue that it depends on who you hire to teach it.
Okay, fair enough.
Meaning, is that part of the curriculum? Not necessarily. I also think that a business plan is empty without and meaningless unless it is strongly connected to the things that I talked about first, which is like, who do I need to become? What areas do I need to strengthen? And a growth plan is parallel to that, right? A growth plan, some people might not know what that means. To us, KW introduced a growth plan as something that we need to learn, throughout the year. It can be a 1-page sheet. This is January, February, March, all the way through December. And the classes that you're going to take or the books that you're going to read throughout the year to make sure that you leave the year differently than you entered it. Mm-hmm. So I think that is undoubtedly part of business planning, because it should be rooted in your objectives.
How do you get someone to create a growth plan if they don't think it's necessary for their growth?
Well, I think that's the first step. You gotta wanna.
Yeah, okay.
Meaning, I learned when I became a certified coach in 2011, they said, Shelby, you can never want more for the person than they want themselves. Now, I would argue that that's not entirely what they meant, because sometimes you can borrow belief from people. Sometimes there are people that you want to thank for believing in you more than you believed in yourself at certain moments on the journey. But at the same time, if you're telling me, how do I convince someone that they need a growth plan who doesn't think that they need it in order to grow? That could just be a lack of understanding. So I think that the next step would be asking great questions, Ricky, which you're very good at. Asking great questions to make sure they're understanding what a growth plan is and how it's an asset to their growth. But you can't convince someone to grow. They have to be ready to grow. And by the way, again, I think there could be judgment in that. And I want to remove that. And all I mean by that is some people's growth needs to be done in baby steps. Other people's growth needs to be done in, large steps. Neither is right or wrong.
Well, baby steps are still steps.
You bet.
And in most business plans or business books or keynotes you hear, they might be in a place where you want to be, but when they break it down, they started small to go big.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
No one that you admire and look up to started at that moment that you started admiring and looking up to them.
Yeah. That actually reminds me of a text I received that I will never erase from my phone, which is from Gary Keller. Can't believe I ever received a text from Gary Keller, but I did.
Must be nice.
And he, on Saturday, February 8th, I think just last year, sent me this text of 2 ladders right next to one another.
Mm-hmm.
And the first ladder on the left, the guy can't even reach the first step. And there's only 3 steps on the ladder, but they're so far ahead of him that he can't reach it. Okay. The second ladder has tiny little rungs where you can just go from one step to the next step to the next step. Mm-hmm. And in the illustration, the guy who is on the smaller ladder with lots of rungs is already at the top. And in the illustration where the steps are too significant, mm-hmm. he's still reaching for the first step at the very bottom of the ladder. And it says, never underestimate the importance of small steps. And I said to him, thanks for the encouragement. I tend to be the illustration on the left, meaning I want to take large steps. And he said, we all have to fight that.
Right.
And so I guess that's why I want to be clear that there's no judgment in it, because most of us have to be ready to understand the distinction between taking large steps and small steps. And until I'm ready to be the ladder on the right, I might not be ready to take the first step.
Do you think that, and can we post that graphic on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
You bet.
So we're going to post that on the screen.
Okay.
You got it. Before we go, do you think that people sometimes avoid growth because they are worried that they're going to be exposed for not growing the way that they had written something down? Or do you think that they are nervous when they write out a full entire growth plan because it just looks too busy? And because I think that you have to have purpose, to your point around reading the books, you have to have purpose around your growth plan, mm-hmm. and kind of a destination, and understanding that the journey is way more important than your destination when you're growing. And so when you have to remember that so then we look at a growth plan and we get tired from the growth plan because it looks like it's way too much. And we don't understand that we have to start small to go big. Mm-hmm. And so we have to remember that I think being tired from something that's purposeful in our life feels a lot better than being tired from something that's chaotic in our life.
So I'll say this, that book that I ordered that is on its way, What If I'm Wrong? Yeah. The caption underneath that is Navigating the Waves of Fear and Failure. I wrote some of the notes while she was talking, while I was listening to this podcast. And she's an author. And so she was talking about what happens when she's not selling books. And so she was talking about the word passionate and the word passion, which when anyone asks me, who are you? It's one of the first words I say. I'm a passionate builder, advocate, empath, right, etc. And so she said, the word passion literally means to suffer. So passion is not what we have, is not having any of the things that we're looking for. And once she made the language right in her mind, she's able to say, oh, this doesn't mean I was wrong because things are difficult. This is actually just the work. Rejection is part of the deal. It doesn't mean anything's wrong. It just means sometimes you sink and sometimes you swim. And that's just part of being in the water. And her dad told her to just keep swimming. So I think that she was talking about getting caught up in potentially being wrong and therefore not taking that first step. Mm-hmm. And so I think sometimes people don't outline a growth plan, or a plan becomes too daunting, so they withdraw from it because they don't want to be wrong and they don't want to be seen as a failure and they don't want to experience failure. And as much as we hear failure is only failure if you stop trying, mm-hmm. it's still hard to experience. And so I think that people may not be attached to a plan beyond their first failure because of the result of how it makes you feel, and needing people around them to encourage them to move past how they feel, because our emotions drive our actions, mm-hmm. or lack thereof.
Right.
But you got to be in the water.
That sounds exhausting probably to some people.
It was a relief to me.
Okay.
Because I think that we need to humanize failure. Like, if I don't exercise the things that are in my mind, my dreams, I will fail because I'll never do them. Versus trying them and failing and refining and actually doing them. Doesn't mean I won't fail through it, but the only way I will ultimately fail is if I never do it. But I think we need to humanize it, because sometimes we get into our own head and think, well, we're the only one that fails. Or if I do this, I don't want to look bad. Or I don't want to feel the feelings of rejection. But that's why I was, really loved what she said, that her dad just told her to keep swimming, because rejection is just part of it. Sometimes you sink, sometimes you swim. But you got to be in the water.
Got to be in the water. And failure oftentimes is just a data point, right? If you really want to dive into it.
Sure.
And also many great leaders will say that they are the biggest failure in any room they're usually in. They just kept going and others didn't.
Yeah. She said to live and fail and to win and to fail 10 more times. That's life.
We have 30 seconds left.
Okay. Close us out.
I don't have anything to close this out, but I was thinking about when we were talking about being tired and being scared of a growth plan and not understanding your purpose. And oftentimes we talk about the big why. And I think that purpose is a better word to say other than your big why, because sometimes we get stuck in not understanding what our big why is. And then we feel like we're behind, or we're inadequate, or we are not where other people are who are super clear on their big why. And so we have to learn to perform without purpose. And when you perform without purpose, your purpose usually slaps you in the face at some point along the way.
You find it as you go. It's part of the journey.
It's part of the journey, right? And so, and when you find your purpose, you will be, it will feel a lot better than, you'll be tiring at times with your purpose and your passion and your journey. But like I said earlier, it's a lot better feeling tired from your purpose than being tired from chaos. And you'll know this because when your energy serves your purpose, exhaustion turns into fulfillment.
That is like the definition of engaging.
Well, that's why we're here.
Right? I mean, I guess the purpose in engage maybe being our subject matter through a variety of different topics and subject matters. It's about plugging in. It's about doing it anyway. It's about being present. It's about trying anyway. Engage, and you'll find your purpose and your mission along the way.
Very good.
That's it.